Good evening and welcome to your Thursday edition of This Ibrox podcast with myself, Iain Mitchell, and my good friend JB. JB will just kick us off. It's been a while since us two have been on together. As I said, someone's keeping us apart, then realised that you're doing the schedule, so I'm trying not to overthink that too much. But how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, very well, mate. Thank you. Yeah, all good. As we were saying off air, then it's almost a case of this is what it feels like to look forward to the football. It felt like a wee while. I think the last couple of international breaks we could have done with them lasted another week longer. But no, it feels a wee bit different after finishing off against Dundee in the last game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting about it and previewing Livingston and whatever else.
Absolutely, yeah. It's obviously a big week for Scotland, for a few different countries in there, which has been great, but it's nothing quite like getting back to the Saturday 3 p.m. Rangers game, is there? It's the last 3 p.m. game until after Christmas, in terms of a Saturday anyway, which is also a bit strange one. Also, a lot of games, a lot of European football to come as well, but we'll get stuck into that, stuck into predicted lineups for the weekend, what we expect from that game, and a couple of bits along like that. I mentioned, of course, the Scotland game, which was great for anyone of a Scottish persuasion. But the one negative, I think, from that was John Souttar coming out the lineup just before that. We then had over that same night Derek Cornelius came off injured from Canada. That's two pretty regular features, albeit they've not had perfect performances, JB, but that's a bit concerning, obviously, looking at who now needs to come in from that space.
I mean, the John Souttar one, I'll be perfectly honest, I wasn't particularly concerned about. Not, I see, you don't want to be seeing any Rangers players getting injured, especially on international duty. But I actually do think he could do with a wee bit of time out the team. I think just in terms of, he just, I think he looks a wee bit lost this season. He'll always give you the big blocks, and he'll always give you the if there's a ball there to go and header, he'll go and header it. But there's been a few times this season where he switched off. His ball retention this season has been really poor for me. And you can kind of see that because the opposition are letting him have it. Do you know, like they don't press John Souttar. It's one to kind of keep an eye out for. They let him have it because there's a good chance he'll give you it back. So that one I wasn't too worried about. But then obviously then waking up the following day and then seeing Derek Cornelius is then he's picked up an injury as well, which that one's more frustrating given the fact that one, he's on loan. Two, I actually could do quite like him as a player. He gives us the option
Yeah.
to go to a three. He gives us the balance on the left. But the fact it was it was two friendlies that he was away for. Now he missed the first one. He didn't have a kick, and then the second one he's obviously only lasted 20 minutes. So, I mean, I haven't actually seen the injury, whether it was a collision or whether it was a strain or anything.
It seems like it's a muscle strain, and it's
Is
obviously
it
more frustrating for me the fact that he went off against Dundee. It didn't look the most serious injury, but enough that we had to change. If you remember,
right?
Leo Cameron was coming on, we
Yeah,
had to switch that about. So he's obviously had some kind of niggle. And I get going
yeah.
away with the national team, if they're at the World Cup regardless. So it's a big few months for him. Why risk it? Like you say, if you missed that first game from injury, I don't see
Yeah,
why you
yeah,
play the
just
second
yeah,
when these
just
games mean
just
nothing.
just just get yourself wrapped up. I mean, I'm not actually even sure where the games were, but if he's had to do a bit of
In
travel,
America, both of them,
was it
yeah.
maybe there's
America
a
and
bit of a
Mexico, I think. Sorry, yeah.
maybe there's a mindset if we're making them travel all that way, we're going to give them some game time, which you could argue is understandable. But saying that didn't help the big boy Dijiga. He travelled all over Africa and didn't get a kick of the ball. So, but that's probably more telling, to be fair, that he can't get a game for Burkina Faso. But yeah, he's going to be needed on Saturday. That's for certain.
Yep. And who comes in beside him is a bit of a strange one. It's where we're going to kick off here because we've obviously got Fernandez, who hasn't been trusted to do much. He's played 1 minute, which is against Hibs since August. We've then got Inciala, who's not played at all since April. So again, they both be very raw, very concerning against a street smart Livy side. And you see the training videos this week of Dujon Sterling's back. I don't think he's going to be flung in to start a game after the layoff he's had, but either option there isn't great. Is it a case of go with one of them or just have move in? What's your preferred option there?
You know what? It's yeah, no, it's not a good select. It's a selection headache, not in a good way, because we've got options, but none of them are particularly exciting. For me, I think I'd probably be more. I think we're going to have lots of the ball on Saturday. It's not going to be backs against the wall. So bring in an extra footballer. So it does give me it gives me the option to kind of give Max Aarons another run in his position. He is a right back. I think he's a really poor left back because he's got no confidence at all to kind of go on the outside. He doesn't appear to be able to use his left foot. And then Tavernier next to Dijiga and Magoma in at left back. Now, I would like to see Fernandez, but not because I think he's a really good player, but because I'm more curious as opposed to anything else. He can't be that bad that he's not getting an absolute kick. I mean, in terms of his appearance this season, it was at Alloa and St Mirren, was it?
Played
St Mirren?
against Mirren away,
St Mirren away.
Alloa, and as you say, that Hibs minute where
Hibs
he
game
looked good
come
for a
on.
minute. He'd done his job.
He
So
come late on, yeah. He came and won a header. But at the end of the day, if he's not trusted to come in and play against Livingston at home, with a crowd that's on the up, that's feeling on the up at the moment, he's never going to make it. So if he's past his injuries, that obviously for some bizarre reason we were keeping under wraps, which is utterly bizarre. Yeah, I think he comes, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's kicking around with Broxy Bear in New Edmonton House before the game. So we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, if it was up to me, I'd go with Fernandez and Dijiga just to get a bit of a feel about them, and then obviously Tavernier at right back. But what do I think he'll do? I think he'll bring Aarons in. I think he'll go Tavernier, Dijiga, and Magoma.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a back five for a number of reasons, those options being the main thing. It does lead me on to my next question here, which has came through from James, which is quite a debate. I don't think I would on this one, to be honest. Would you offer Souttar a new contract? And I'd say that knowing that he is first choice right now. He is probably the one that, if fit, he plays. But I think he's got a bit of an eye out the door already, hence the poor performances this season. I don't know if you're the same.
Yeah, good question from James there. But in terms of, for me, no. He was signed and he was the fourth choice centre half, and he's gone backwards and he's now our first choice centre half. So I think he's kind of an example of where we are as a club at the moment in terms of where our signing strategy's been. It's just been an absolute bin fire. I get the argument for why people might like to give Souttar another year. I think it's more of a case of he's Scottish, so he kind of feels a little bit safe. But he's not a leader. Like, he seems like a big gentle giant. I'm sure he's probably a lovely fella. Do you know what I mean? And a really nice guy, but it's not what we need.
But
yeah, it's
nice
a problem.
Guy,
we need some leaders. Need. I mean, for Connor Goldson, for all of his faults, he was a leader. Do you know what I mean? I think that was demonstrated during the league winning season in the fact that you could actually hear him. He does not shut up. I remember when we were watching the games back on RTV and stuff, and the commentators escape my mind. Not Tom. The boy from England, Clyde Tilsley. He was always saying about apologies for the language used by Connor Goldson, and you could really hear it. And I think it was Emma Dodds said at the end of the season review, said getting to hear the players up close and personal and how demanding Connor Goldson was of his teammates. So I think that's definitely got to be a position that I know we've had a couple of preview pods in terms of what do we need pods in terms of the what do we need in the either the January break or the winter, or the summer. But a domineering leader centre half is definitely, I think, should be well up there.
Yeah, there's a question I didn't have on my agenda, but Robert's put it in there, more of a statement that no contract for Souttar or Tav. Does Tav fall in that same one for you? Because this is the one that properly splits fans right now, given he's our top scorer again. I think he's joint top for assists right now as well. He obviously is still decent enough going forward, but would you think he's a priority to renew at this point, given how much change we're probably going to have over the next 6 to 8 months again?
Yeah, falls under the nice guy category again. I can't imagine an angry James Tavernier and I'm not saying we want to fill a team full of Terry Butchers, you know what I mean? Who I met in Blackpool last week at a Blackpool Rangers supporters club. Cracking fella. If anyone's looking for anyone for a function, I would definitely recommend him. But he was. I'm not saying we're looking for Terry Butchers, but there's a theme with our playing squad over the last few years, and it is we are too nice to play against. Now, if the captain of that group is a nice guy, I think you're on the back foot straight away, because he's got to be the loudest voice in the room. He's got to be your captain at half time. When things aren't going well, that's the voice you want to drag you through games. Now, don't get me wrong. The argument could be, well, he's not that type of captain. How many points has he won? Last minute penalties, late free kicks, and really good crosses. I get that. However, I think we're kind of past that now. And I think the reason why he's got the numbers that he has is because he takes so many of the free kicks, takes so many of the corners, he takes the penalties, he's been robust. I think that's one thing nobody can ever take away from James Tavernier is the commitment he's done for Rangers in terms of making himself available. As I say, you could count on one hand in terms of how many injuries he's had, and if you consider the shit that he's had to take as well, he's played through it. Now, don't get me wrong, you might argue, yeah, well, pay me 35 grand a week and I'll take the shit and I'll play through it. But we've seen with professional footballers, if something doesn't suit them, they're not interested. So, yeah, I do think it's time for a refresh, but it comes with the caveat that it has to be somebody better than him. We're not going to replace his numbers, so there's no point in going on transfer market and looking for a player that scored, I don't know, 150 odd goals or whatever it is that he scored, or we're no point in looking for a player who won the top goal scorer in a Europa League run. We're not going to sign that type of player. I'd like to sign somebody of the characteristics of Sterling in terms of what he looks like, as in big, strong, powerful, quick, can play the game. Unfortunately for Sterling, we just haven't had a proper opportunity to see him in any one position for a lengthy period of time. I think we signed him as a right back with a view to phasing James Tavernier out, but James Tavernier's ran over him just by being available. And every time we kind of see Sterling at right back, I don't think he's ever looked comfortable. Of all the positions I've seen Sterling play for us, right back's probably the one area I think he struggles most. Centre half, I think he's solid enough. He knows what he knows what he's doing there. He's quick, he's strong, relatively comfortable on the ball. Left back, he's done a couple of stints there, kind of no major concerns. And I know he's had a few cameos in centre mid and at right wing of all positions as well. I think one of his finest games was it Benfica away? He played high right, or am I getting that mixed up? It was certainly Nice away. Nice away. It was high right wing. Yeah, I'm going to be getting the games mixed up there, but he's. In fact, no, he scored, didn't he, against Benfica away? They've all merged into one. But what I'm saying is, he's. That's the type of players that I want to see us signing moving forward. Big, strong, athletic, quick. Because if you can mix that with a little bit of ability, this Rangers team has been so soft over the last few years, and soft isn't probably something you'd associate with Sterling. I'd associate Tav with being soft as a defender. How many times can you, considering the amount of games that he's got, has he ever had a red card? Again, I'm not saying we're looking for players that are going around just kicking people, but he doesn't put himself into positions where he's going to get hurt. So therefore, you're not going to get many injuries in terms of impact injuries, and you're not going to get yourself in a position where you're going to get sent off if you don't tackle. So, yeah, and again, you can't thank James Tavernier enough for what he has done. I don't know whether it's just the frustration of where we are now, because I'd love to have seen James Tavernier in a strong Rangers team. Do you know, if he'd have been playing with some of the teams we've had in years gone by, I think he'd have been unbelievable if you think of some of the talent that we've had throughout the years. But yeah, I think for me that's a no new contract for him, but a well deserved testimonial. And I'd like to think that the fans would support that as well.
Yeah, of course they would. And it's interesting you mentioned the set pieces that Tav takes and the fact that Fernandez might be an option here, because the one bit of news that I think we've all been more welcome to this week is that Scott Fry has come in as the set piece coach from Lincoln. Now, I immediately saw that he was ex-Wolves and had a little bit of an alarm going off. I think it's another guy with the Thelwell link. But what you read, what you see, what we seem to be hearing from Lincoln fans is that this guy knows his stuff. He's made Lincoln one of the best set-piece teams in England, by the sounds of it. Pretty good sort of CV to get to this position, and it's something we've been crying out for a hell of a long time. Like you say, it's Rangers get, 10 corners or so most games. It's just that same trundle over, cross in, hope for the best. There's never any inventiveness. There's never anything exciting going on. It's just lump it in and hope something happens. And I remember last season we went what's 130 odd games plus without scoring from a free kick. Oh, sorry, not
Yeah.
games. 130 corners in a row it was where he didn't score from, which is madness. So this news is most welcome for me. I'm sure you're feeling the same way.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. As I say, the Rangers Review had a really good interview with a Leighton Orient podcaster. We had a great name. What was it? Stacey West podcast. So the one for the Gavin and Stacey fans there. But yeah, I think in terms of that, it sounds like he's got something about him. Again, we'll all roll the eyes and the fact that, as you said, he's had that link with Wolves and Kevin Thelwell, and it's only been Leighton Orient, but it's
Lincoln,
something.
yeah.
It's Lincoln. Sorry, yeah, Lincoln.
Same thing.
Yeah, same horse, different jockey. But it's I think in terms of that, he's going to bring us something different. Sounds like he doesn't just look at set pieces and corners. It's he also looks at kick-off routines. Somebody said that he does throw in stuff as well. In terms of the analysis that he done, and he works through the night in terms of making sure that he's focusing on getting set pieces in the best position he can. One thing he is going to get with us that is guaranteed, unlike his previous club, we're going to get lots of set pieces. So if we can come up with, if we can turn that into a weapon, as much as we'd love to not be relying on set pieces, it's not doing Arsenal any harm at all. Again, big shout in terms of not comparing ourselves to Arsenal, but it's something they've invested a hell of a lot of time in, and they're reaping the rewards of it. We've actually got James Tavernier can take a good set piece when it's when he needs to. There are many times where it does hit the front man. I'm sure there's been many a FFS Tav echoed round in pretty much every game he's probably appeared for us. But I think doing things a little bit different won't do us any harm, because it's one thing that we haven't been successful on for the last few years.
Absolutely. Yep. And as I say, it leads us into Livingston on Saturday, which pretty routine. It should be a very comfortable win, but I think it's one of these games that we're all quite looking forward to. You know, as you say, I didn't want the international break to come in terms of it was just starting to build a bit of momentum, but we've now got, 6 months, 6 months until the next international break. So proper good run here. Again, we've got Livingston and Falkirk. If we just look at the domestic stuff, the next two home games, it's got to be 6 points, right? I know that sounds pretty basic, and Rangers have to win every game, but if we want to have a title challenge this season, you need to win both these games, and if you win them comfortably, it just helps that momentum just gain a bit more traction, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I think in terms of just need to keep racking them up. That's all we can do. Just keep racking the wins up, and then seeing where it lands. I don't think any of us are sitting here going, we're going to win the league. I think there's a lot of people question whether we're going to finish second. However, we just need to keep winning games. Keep winning games, winning games, winning games. I don't think the team across the city are particularly strong, but compared to years gone by. One bad result and they'll go into proper meltdown. And then Hearts, how long can that last? I think they've got a good 10, 11, 12, 13 players. When you start to go outside of that squad, you start to pick up injuries, you start to play a couple of 2 games in a week type of stuff.
Yep.
That's when you'll start to see what are they all about. And again, a lot of teams, we've gone through that first run of fixtures where everybody's played each other. So teams now know what to expect when they're coming up against teams for the second time. So sometimes that's when you start to see the difference in terms of behaviour, in terms of how teams will set up against Hearts. So going wrong, I think it's great. Somebody, I was actually in Wolverhampton for a dude last night, and there was people coming up to me in terms of saying, questioning in terms of, what do you think about Hearts? How far do you think they'll go? Do you think they'll do it? And a lot of people from outside of Scotland are very much a case of the best thing that can happen to Scotland is Hearts winning the league. Because one thing it will do, it'll bring probably fresh investment. It'll give all the other clubs a hope and a chance in something they can invest in. That said, it's all about us. So again, just keep winning games, keep chipping away, and then we'll see where we land. I don't think any of the 3 clubs that are the top 3 at the moment are particularly great. So it's going to be the ones who can kind of get that consistency and that momentum, and hopefully that can be us over the next 2 league games.
Yep, I've been saying myself since like early September that Hearts will fall away, will be third as natural. So quite keen to see how this next few weeks plays out, so I stop sweating too much.
I think I've said before that my only concern is if they do come through December, they've got access to better players than us and Celtic in terms of who they could bring in terms of loan markets and different bits and bobs. If there's a couple of young superstars down at Brighton or USG, I think they're into. If they got an opportunity and they can see a chance of winning a league, then they might bring in 3 or 4. I'm not saying Abdullah Sima types. Obviously, he's gone permanently to France, but there could be a handful of these guys just come out of left field and settle really well and do really well. So yeah, we can't let them get too far ahead. That's for certain.
Yeah, I think what you said a moment ago about teams now kind of sussing them out is going to be a big factor here, because teams will now start playing against Hearts like they play against the Old Firm, and suddenly it's a lot harder trying to break that kind of thing down. But as I say, who cares about them? It's all about us, as always. Leading into that, there's a couple of selection issues for the weekend. Obviously, we've touched on defence already, and just kind of need to see who's fit and who slots in where. But we had Majowski and Ant-Man both scoring for national teams a few days ago. Majowski obviously got beat 7-1 off Wales, so maybe not the best game for him. But if we start at the top there, what's your striking thoughts here? Do you persist with Trimiti, knowing that these are two easier games on paper, two teams lower down the leagues in terms of the next two? Do you just hope that he kicks on a bit, or would you go back to Majowski, who should on paper be a bit more tried and tested? I don't know if there's an easy answer in either of those, obviously, but what would you be doing if you were in charge?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite funny with Trimiti. I one thing I do tend to do on the international breaks is I add the games to live score. Other notification apps are available, but I tend to watch the games where Rangers players are featuring and then keep an eye on it. And it was one of them. No nets were harmed in Portugal under 21s this week due to the fact that Trimiti was leading the line. For me, what I would probably do is I'd go with Trimiti and Danilo. I know that might sound a bit controversial given the fact and again, this isn't me advocating that Trimiti is a professional footballer, by the way. I just think we've got to try and get something out of him, a spark, and it might just be Danilo in behind him, giving him that extra wee bit of space might be something that just triggers something. I don't think Miovski and Danilo linked up particularly well. They were actually the two I was looking forward to seeing together, because I actually thought, again, Miovski can make a wee bit of space, Danilo can drop in the hole. I think there was 1 or 2 decent little link-ups that we've seen. But yeah, we need to stumble. I've said this a few times in terms of throwing darts and stuff and seeing what sticks. I think he's going to have to just keep experimenting and trying it, and only because there's no answer actually out there. If I felt as if we had a 2 that I would go, no, it has to be them, then I'd be sticking with that and running with it. But I wouldn't put my hat on any of them to guarantee goals. So my thinking being, obviously you've got the big man, little man kind of combo. And one thing about Danilo, his movement is fantastic. In terms of he always makes himself space, he makes himself available. He's a goal threat, and he's a clever footballer as well. I think he's done in terms of long term, in terms of his he can't run. That injury has obviously really set him back. And he probably it's very similar to Michael Moores when he come back after his injury. What a player he was!
Just lost
He
a little burst, hasn't he?
Just lost that
acceleration,
that little bit of spark, and that could be the difference of if the ball gets played out wide. I actually, funny enough, just before it randomly come on when we were getting beat 1-0 by Hearts. Shanklin beat Yilmaz at the back post, the header, and Tav scored a late penalty, and then Danilo scored a header right in the last minute with the mask on. He made just a little run where he just went forward, stepped back, and then a little 5-yard sprint to get away from his man. Bang, 2-1. It's not just running away from people; it's just getting that running into space. That you need that sharpness, and I don't think he's got. I think he will be done. I don't think he'll go on to hit the heights that we were probably hoping, or certainly the 6 million that we spent on him. But we've got to get what we can out of the players that we've got at the moment, and I just think them two could be quite a good link up with Moore and Gassama looking after the wings, and then maybe getting Raskin and Raskin and Diamandi doing the midfield piece. But that midfield can be very fluid as well in terms of giving players opportunities to get forward, drive on. Mikey Moore had a really good game against Dundee, so let's hope that he's now arrived. I say in brackets.
Yep.
And we
He's
know
probably
what
first name in the team sheet suddenly, which is
so which is it probably says more about where we are at the moment as opposed to him. I don't think, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't think there's anyone deserves a starting position. We're playing the players that are available. I don't think there's anyone that you'd say if any player was on the bench on Saturday. Sorry, I'm conditioned to playing on Sunday now. I don't think you could say that's not fair and go through to the whole squad with that statement. So yeah, which is very damning in terms of where our performance levels have been.
And how does this go in terms of, see, for Europe? For me, it's done. I don't see any way that this squad gets through Europe in terms of how we've started. But we're obviously playing Braga on Thursday, which is the one team that Chermiti seems to have a little link to in terms of what might happen in January. It's very quiet rumours and whispers, obviously, but that's why for me, I'd be playing Majovski Saturday, Thursday play Chermiti, hoping that he just does something that makes Braga go, oh, he is a player. You know, he must be on some kind of short list or something. And
Yeah.
obviously, he's Portuguese under 21 international. That goes for something again.
Yeah.
I'm at that stage almost where I'm kind of done with Chermiti, 3-4 months in, which is very harsh. The team hasn't been playing well at all, but I just don't think he's going to make it here. And if you're wanting to try and put him in a shop window, again, it could go the other way. It could have a stinker and then the interest is gone. So it might go the other way. But I think you go Majovski at the weekend, hoping you kind of put him into form as much as you try to do that with both the strikers. So it's a bit of a toss-up. As you say, then it leads into the question of, well, do you just play a weekend team Thursday? Do you have all eyes on Livingston and Falkirk? I don't really know how to manage that game midweek.
Yeah, I mean, we've got lots of options. We've just got lots of really poor options. So I think it's how we balance it. I mean, there might also be a piece for tomorrow of there was a lot of players not on international duty. So, like, if you go through that squad that were there, could they come up with a game plan? I mean, Butland obviously would have been there. Aarons, Tavernier, McGoman, I think was back early from England under 19s because I think he captained them on week one. But
he was at the training picks anyway.
Yeah,
he was there.
So I imagine Moore would have came back at the same time as him. I don't recall to seeing Diamandi on any international lists. Didn't see his name pop up. Certainly didn't get an alert.
I'm trying to think of guys who appeared in the training photos. All I can remember is Matondo and our boy Dowell. So
oh god, PTSD. Gassama obviously wouldn't have been away. Chermiti was only away for one game. Danilo's been there, so a lot of that squad weren't on international duty. Whereas if you start to look at your Asgard, your Antmans, your Miofskis, these guys would Dijigas and obviously Cornelius. These guys all would have been away. Cameron as well, albeit didn't play. So there's been some time on the training ground this week that could have been useful training time. Throw Bajrami into the mix as well, which I can't thank you enough for cropping me up a few weeks ago on TikTok. I think it's had like 250,000 views, and I'm getting texts off random people I don't know asking why I'm such a fan of Bajrami. But Bajrami doesn't start on Saturday, we riot.
Oh, if only. There was a little bit of a link that we saw this morning. I'm going to butcher this name massively, but the Kazakhstan winger Gilimskan Kenzibak. We'll go for that. It's probably miles wrong, but more importantly, 22-year-old winger who would be a free agent just the way their contracts run. It's up until just the new year. So as a winger, especially a left winger, something we should be looking at just now? Or is this just, again, it could be agent chat, it could be absolutely nothing in it, but it just leads to that conversation of, well, what sort of positions do we have to fix on like January 1st kind of thing? Because for me, winger's not top of that right now.
No, yeah, definitely wouldn't be top of my list. I mean, if he's a good player and he's going to come in, he's going to add something different. I mean, there's no doubt, and I can't believe we're sitting here saying this in 2025. Kazakhstan football does appear to be on the up. Obviously, they've got one of the teams, Borat's teams, in the Champions League this year, and then they've also done quite well in the Euro qualifying. Am I right in saying Kazakhstan? They've had some good results, or they certainly had some really good performances. So I don't know whether if that could be an untapped market. Obviously, we touched into the Moroccan market not that long ago, and we reaped the rewards of that financially.
Yep.
So let's say football's played all over the world now. So if there's a player there that's hitting a skill set and he's showing some numbers, I had a quick glance at some of his statistics. He's been a wee bit of a journeyman considering his age. He's played for a few clubs within Kazakhstan, but Yeah, it could. It feels like a wee bit of a no-brainer, but yeah, there you go. Almaty, that was the team I was looking for. But unfortunately, that's where we are. You know, like I'd love to be shopping at the English Premier League or Serie A or La Liga, but that's not where we're at. We've got to go. We've got to be smart, and we've got to try and go and find players. I don't think this should be a market for English Championship players. So
That's
one
the
of the
key for me. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Just
even
something different. Aye.
even the optics of it, yeah, I don't think would be great. As I say, the petrifying thing for me is when we did the start of the season. The Kevin Thelwell spoke about we didn't have a lot of time, which I do get. The kind of we weren't set up for the start of the season. I don't think we were set up very well at all. But then we went for a league that him and Dan Purdy, a league that him and Dan Purdy knew really well. Now, if he knows these well, what are the players going to be like he doesn't know very well? So yeah, that'll be interesting because there's certainly some of the lads that have came in up from England this season have been nothing short of horrendous. If you think about your Fernandez's, even De Gea, albeit was at Wolves, Asgard, I think is as very much flat as a deceive. Rothwell, again, all these guys have come up from England with semi-decent reputations and
Yep.
have absolutely stunk the place out. So yeah, definitely not a market I'll be looking to shop in would be the Championship or League One.
Yep, no, couldn't agree more. We'll just leave it there. Just a shorter pod tonight. We'll be back on Saturday from the gantry. It's myself and Craig on that one, and then we'll have our Sunday night show as always, a bit longer. Hopefully, going over a nice routine win for Rangers. All going well. But yes, thanks for joining us. Again, any likes in the video are always welcome. We're very, very close now to 9k subscribers, so any subscribers that can add to that is again very welcome. But we'll leave you with that. We'll see you over the weekend. Thanks for joining us. Cheers.